Hey everybody, I'm Phillip.
And I'm Justin.
And together we are Pajamas. And we just watched Loki Season 1, Episode 5. And yeah, the curtain has been pulled back on this mystery wizard.
Yes, in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
At least we now know what happens to people when they are pruned.
Yeah, they go to like this end of time, a void, and there's like this, it's like a garbage dump, pretty much, where everything just lands.
And where every single fathomable form of Loki ends up in.
Yeah, my hypothesis was correct. When I said when people get the zappy pruned thing, maybe they don't die. I said that in the last one. And then what we didn't see was the mid-credit scene, because I didn't know there was one.
Yes.
We actually watched that prior to the episode today. So then we found out, yes, that I would have known I was correct. Anyway, but I probably already fixed that in episode 4 in some way, but we're just referencing it now because it's new to us in this point in time, since we literally filmed these right after we watched the thing. So yes, I was correct that that is not death. But apparently what is death is a giant smoke dog monster thing.
I suppose that it's that world's version of Cerberus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, guarding the gates.
Guarding whatever it is that is controlling.
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially, Loki ends up in this, like, beyond the realm of time garbage dump, meets the 3 other variants of Loki.
And later even more.
Loki then decides that he wants to kill it, Smoky Cerberus thing. Then, of course, inevitable betrayal. It's Loki's.
Yes.
Followed by more inevitable betrayal, because it's Loki's. This was a good episode, but I don't think it was the strongest episode.
What do you mean by that?
Some of it felt like filler. Some of it felt like...
So it's...
quirky, Loki, you're so quirky. The brawl with all the Lokis, Loki and his army versus everybody else, and the betrayal. I was like, I get it, and it's fine. Like, I'm not saying I disliked it, but then there was a whole scene where Loki and Sylvie were sitting on the grass, and he wrapped a tablecloth around her, and
which he called a blanket. But I suppose that, well, all right then, it was a blanket. That was like a tablecloth.
Like, I didn't mind the scenes. They felt like they kind of just dragged, but I get that put in for 50 minutes of runtime or whatever.
Emotional development of the characters.
And then Loki acting all surprised to see an alligator. I don't think Loki would actually have been surprised to see any version of Loki. As we said last episode, Loki has turned himself into so many things.
Indeed.
I don't see how an alligator is beyond the realm of reason for Loki to accept it.
Actually is very true. And it seems that the most dangerous form of Loki, even by Loki's point of view, would be a female Loki.
Why is that?
When he mentioned that there's a female version of him, one of them said that sounds scary.
Oh.
Or something like that. Since, yes, it seemed that she's the only female there, because all of the other Lokis, interestingly, were male instead of a mix.
So, this was a pretty cut and dry episode. They were, they got to the trash dump beyond time. I said Loki wanted to kill the smoke Cerberus, but Sylvie wanted to enchant it.
Which actually sounds like something easier to do, because how can you really kill a cloud?
But she was like, that's your plan. I was like, yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, that's your plan. Okay. All right. And I forgot, Owen Wilson's also there. He drove up in a pizza car to pick up Sylvie. See, it's like sometimes the episodes are a little too quirky. Like, I get it's Loki, you can do whatever you want. It's like Owen Wilson drives a pizza car. Like, does anyone out there understand what I'm saying? Like, it's just like it's a little too try hard in the cutesy department, I guess.
A little too much randomness?
No, not even so much that. Like, except the randomness. It's just how they're going about it. But I also understand this is a place where everything that's been pruned, this is where like the remainder goes. Makes sense, since they can do whatever they want. This is like a blank slate for them. It's just when he pulled up in the car, I was just like, of course he's driving a pizza car.
It's very interesting. In this realm, it seems to mainly be populated by Lokis.
Yeah.
I actually would have wondered if there were any other members of Marvel that would be somewhere on this.
You would think so, because you think there would have to be like some kind of someone somewhere that deterred from their path enough to be pruned from their timeline.
Yes, maybe an evil Thor.
Yeah,
or,
yeah, exactly.
Or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, evil Thor, or selfish Spider-Man, or an actually super evil Iron Man, because he was not a good person. I mean, he was, but I mean, think about Iron Man 1 was Tony Stark pissed someone off in his company and they want to revenge. Iron Man 2, Tony Stark pissed someone off in his company and they want to revenge. Iron Man 3, Tony Stark pissed someone off in his company and want to revenge. Think about Spider-Man Far From Home. Tony Stark pissed someone off in his company, a lot of them, and they banded together to get revenge. It's no secret that Tony Stark was an asshole. So I don't think it'd be beyond the realm of reason to think that Tony Stark could be evil Iron Man somewhere.
We do get a glimpse of exactly this place where
it just looks like
beyond time.
It just looks like somewhere like Sleepy Hollow, or
did it seem to classic German or Romanian
a little
hideaway from
a little bit, yeah,
where an evil count would live.
Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting. Like if the smoke had parted and it had been like Asgard, I'd been like, oh, maybe we do get evil Thor. And that would explain all the Lokis there, because Thor's like, I'm fucking sick of you guys.
That would be an interesting twist of events.
But we need to think, okay, who would live in a that kind of environment? Who would have a smoke monster dog? Like, who would have their own Cerberus that they could conjure? This had to have been created, conjured. It can be enchanted, then it can be. It's a thing. Like it's it's a construct of some sort. It's based on some kind of reality that Sylvie, and then later, to a lesser degree or whatever, Loki could overtake. So who made this?
And we were given even further confirmation that the boss lady cannot be trusted.
Yeah.
Even in that one moment that it would seem as if actually she wants to know as much as Sylvie wants to know, but it turns out no.
Yeah, I even wrote in my notes, I was like, there are two divergent paths between her and Sylvie. Sylvie wants to expose the founders, but Boss Lady wants to protect them. She wants to find out where they're at and who they are to warn them. It makes sense. I still think it's interesting though that, I mean, she's had to have known the truth this whole time then. She's had to have, because she was playing the fool there a little bit with Sylvie in the TVA, being like, I want to know too. I want to find out just like you do.
And well, yes, what she's saying is technically true. She wants to know, but for a different reason. Thus the difference between someone needing to and wanting to.
Which is exactly what the soldier lady said to her, who was being held prisoner right now. So we're trying to figure out what Sylvie's plan was, because Sylvie self-pruned when she was surrounded by Boss Lady and then the minions.
Yes.
So obviously Boss Lady knows way more. Like she's keeping all of her cards close to her chest. She's only playing what she needs to when she needs to. It's kind of nice to have a villain like that. She's like the major villain, like the main villain is whoever is in charge. One would assume is the main villain. But having her as like a mini boss, it's kind of cool. All too often when we watch stuff, it's always like, now that I have you captured, let me tell you my entire plan. Yes, Mr. Bond, I have you. And now I'm going to do this and this and this, and then I'm going to destroy this and this and this, and then they lose.
Yes, revealing everything.
Yeah.
I have wondered why they do that.
Oh, it's so irritating.
I do see that it's so that the hero can know exactly what to do when escaping. It's a convenient plot device.
True.
But the problem is that, well, it makes it very unrealistic. And now I'm going to tell you everything that I'm about to do? Why would I do that? Why would I care? I want you dead.
Exactly. Like, it's always like, let me tie you to this chair and torture you and then tell you my plan while I do it. You just be like, oh, Mr. Bond, I finally have you in my clutches. Ha ha ha, bang. The end. But with Boss Lady, she's playing a villain. She's a smart villain. She will tell you what you need to know when you need to know it, or what you don't need to know, or what she thinks you do need to know. And I like that. She's calculating, and she's conniving, and that's how I want my villains. I want them to be like villainous. Not incompetent and stupid.
That and Mobius revealing basically the ethics of the company, that when the ends justify the means, it means that they'll go to whatever means that there are to get to that end. So basically, there is no standard.
Exactly,
as long as it gets to the destination.
Yeah. The outcome is the most important thing.
Which really reveals who's really the villain, Loki or whoever's in charge of this company. It does make it very interesting.
Yeah. My only detractions were I don't think it was well, I could get super nitpicky and say everyone kind of met up a little too conveniently. Like Mobius found Sylvie they just happened to find her there, and then they drove to where the Lokis were, and they all like, I get it, it had to be like that to move the plot along in the 50 minutes that we had. And if I can accept like season 8 of Game of Thrones stuff, I can accept this. And then the whole conversation with the blanket and them like falling for each other, and like I don't mind it. It's just it's like a subplot that's kind of like because now they're like, well, after this we can figure it out together.
So basically, this episode is the transition episode from the previous one to the one following.
Yeah. Well, the last one was like, whoa, especially since we didn't see that mid-credit scene. Like a week now, we've been like, what's going on?
To then see that actually, it at least appears that none of the characters know.
So yeah, we kind of went to a purgatory and
yes,
saw a smoke monster, dog, Cerberus thing. And yeah, the curtain was pulled back at the very end. Last episode will be finding out what the hell is going on.
Once and for all, hopefully.
Yeah. All right, you want to go to my notes?
Yes.
Phillip's notes.
There are not many. So when I first started out about the boss lady, I said, oh, so she's in the dark too. Oh, never mind. Because it turned that she wasn't, as we were talking about.
Basically buying time before the gods can come.
Exactly, yeah. Which was clever for her to use the little clock thing, computer program thing, to try and look for that ship that can go, the void ship or whatever.
And as usual, it turns out that, well, considering the fact that she's been lying throughout the entire series, why would this scene be in any way different? And well, it turned out yes. Whether or not this ship even exists, it seems that the only way that she's going to get to Loki is for her to go there the same way that Loki did.
Yeah, exactly, which he did. Yeah. A couple really good quotes in this, good lines, rather, in this episode. They're like, what's the plan? Don't die. Loki says, don't die isn't a plan. It's a general demand of living.
Yes, which is very true.
It's a really good line. And of course, delivered way better by Tom Hiddleston. When Loki asks, what was your Nexus event, Your Majesty? Because he's the king. He said, I killed Thor.
Which, yes, that definitely gives him superiority over the other Lokis.
Yeah. Like if we were doing reactions, that would have been like,
yes.
Oh.
The Loki that actually won.
Yeah. Betrayed all the other Lokis, brought the other Loki with the gang to them. So I was like, well, where are they staying? Because he looks like King Badass Gangster Loki with his gang with him. Like, where are they hiding out at? I don't necessarily think that there should be more people in the trash dump at the end of time. Or like a ton of people. Like, it should not be populated. There's a giant smoke Cerberus and all that. But I do think that there should be more people in general. So where are they hiding out? Because it was a decent-sized gang of people.
We then found out what happens when you have an army of Lokis. They then turn against each other.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, yeah, it was like betrayal and betrayal and betrayal. And yeah, everything else I have talked about, that was all from my notes. Everything else in here is for my patrons over on Patreon. Very anxious to see how this wraps up.
I hope that the plot doesn't move too quickly, that it's rushed.
It has been, but it makes sense for having 6 episodes. It's like I made that Game of Thrones comparison earlier. This many episodes and all these things had happened. It was just like, Loki's not like that. Because we don't have like 7 seasons of, plot and story development to absolutely crash and burn and just destroy because D&D are incompetent. Not going to get into it. It makes sense for this one because we're still world building. So the entire time, like we've said from episode 1, we brought the Wizard of Oz analogy. Cool to be right. Yay us. But now we get to see what is said behind that curtain. So I'm hoping I don't mind it moving too fast. I just hope it's not disappointing. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
No.
All right. We're going to go to episode 6 right now. So as always, I don't have a fancy outro, so I'll simply say thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.